Okay, thank you for your patience. Our other meeting went a little long, so here we are. Welcome to our regular meeting of West Valley City Council. It is March 14th, 2023. It is 6:38 p.m. and we are in the council chambers of West Valley City Hall. Our roll call, all members are present. We are excusing Mr. Hoon. And we will turn the time over to Councilman Fitzsimmons for our opening ceremony.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everyone. We're pleased to have with us tonight to offer some remarks and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, our District 31 Delegate Brett Garner from our Utah House of Representatives, and I'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Council Member and Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for letting me come tonight. I apologize. I'm just running from my kids' PTA meeting, so I'm a little more casual than normal. But I just wanted to thank everyone who's helped me and during the session, jumping in the last little bit of the session. Ms. Cottle and Mr. Pyle, Mr. Schertz. I even had a great lunch with the fire training battalion chief, Bob Fitzgerald, and everyone who's been helpful in helping know what are the big issues and what are the interests that West Valley has at heart. And it's been a roller coaster, and but I've been enjoyed it, and I'm really grateful for your example of service and for the work that we had to do there. And it's an honor to be there. So with that, I'll lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
if you have any questions for me, want to reach out to me, Ms. Collins has my number and Jake does too. So, Councilman, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll go to our special recognitions, and we'll recognize that we have our Representative Gardner here with us and our former Representative Waite with us. So thank you. All right, I will now we have the minutes of March 7th, 2023. I'll turn it to the council for comments or a motion.
Move to approve those minutes. Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those are approved. Thank you. Okay, we will now have our public comment period. Our comment period is limited to 30 minutes. Any person wishing to speak shall limit their comments to 5 minutes each. Any person wishing to comment during the comment period shall be recognized by the mayor. Upon recognition, the citizen shall approach the microphone. All comments should be directed to the mayor. No person addressing the council during the comment period shall be allowed to comment more than once during that comment period. Speakers should not expect any debate with the council, mayor, or the staff. All three will have the opportunity to respond within the 30-minute time period. So I'll now open it for the public comment. And our first speaker, you're done? You don't want to get up again? Okay. Our representative passes, so we'll go to speaker 2.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Same question as every week. When is code enforcement going to get back to enforcing codes? I know you guys are working on it, but they need to be out there enforcing some of the codes right now. Not using it as an excuse while we're waiting on council to give us direction. There is some tweaking of the codes you guys are doing, but the codes are still going to be there. They can still enforce surfacing. They can still enforce blocking sidewalks. Speaking of blocking sidewalks, parking will come out and enforce that. And so that was one of the questions in there. It was kind of interesting because a lot of the answers of questions and the confusion, I knew the answers. I think in the meeting, Mr. Morris needs to be a little bit more active. As he got at the end of the meeting, he started speaking up and giving some direction. Unless they're leaving it all for the city manager. He is the director, so he should have the most knowledge of it and be able to answer a lot of those questions in a clear, legible way. It was a little confusing on some of the things. A conclusion would come out. City manager, assistant city manager would write it down. And then the question would be asked of something you guys just did. I don't know if some aren't listening or what, but you know, it's with the code, as I've been saying, we need to take the guesswork out of their job. This is what we want you to do. This is how we want you to do it. And we want you out there doing this. And so those are some of the guidelines, you know, when you're redoing this, is making sure that they have a clear path on what we, the city, you as our representative, want to be enforced, how we want it to be enforced, the way we want it to be enforced, whether it's administrative or through the normal process. And so that's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. Speaker 3.
Mike Markham, and you knew I was coming. A couple of things here that I made note of. When we're talking about parking surfaces and gravel. Okay, I don't believe gravel, which is ground rock, should be allowed for a landscape material. You should be required to use landscape rock, which is primarily a colored rock or a non-crushed rock. You can buy river rock. You can buy a lot of different forms of rock to put down for landscaping. But to me, gravel is for putting on your road up at the cabin or on an unimproved dirt road. But gravel is not something that should be allowed as a landscaping stone. The only reason it's used is it's the least expensive of the bunch. Okay, so we need to specify a landscape rock. And if you don't know what that is, there's a number of places around that will sell it and deliver it. Or there's a group of guys at Home Depot that will help you spread it, do all of that kind of stuff, which I've utilized. So we need to, you know, I would like to see that happen. Now, I do have some crushed stone in my backyard, but it's got a lot of color in it and it's bigger pieces. So it has been crushed, but it's not 1.5 inches or 3/4 inch gravel that people use to put down on driveways. And I wasn't sure on when you were talking actual parking surfaces where you can put a gravel down 40% of your front yard, put gravel down and park on it. It was my understanding that when that came out, when I lost the fight, when it should have been concrete, that you had to put where it butted against the grass, you had to have a solid barrier and a high quality underlayment, which the place next to me that has done that has done neither. And now the mud is starting to ooze up through the rocks and it's starting to look terrible. So some of those things I wish you'd think about. Another thing I wanted to bring up and talk when we were talking inoperable cars. Maybe you guys, not everybody knows what a demolition derby car is once it's been through, other than Karen and I. We do the demolition derby in Camas. It's a brutal derby. Not as much fun as it used to be, because now they make them start in a circle. It used to be they lined up and ran wide open into the back end of each other. That's when the best was. The fires, everything. But I don't want to see those sitting in people's driveway in the front yard. If they're going to have it, it needs to be back behind a fence, back behind the corner of their house, because that's nothing more than a wrecked car. Most of the times they may not have a title for it, so they can't scrap it. So and you have to have a title at Camas, you have to give them your title, so that if you leave the car there, they have a way to get rid of it. Another thing that I would like to bring up that Dawn brought up, race cars in the driveway. Any racer worth the salt is not going to leave their car out in the driveway through the inclement weather and everything. You're going to want to store those in the garage. You're going to have people come around. You know, they can't cut a catalytic converter off, but they can take the carburetors or whatever they want off of it. So I don't think they should, you know, if they've got them out in the driveway and it's visible, they're working on them, prepping them for a race, that should be allowed, but pulled back in the driveway. Because my son builds some of the prettiest race cars you ever want to see, but these people are spending $500,000 to build these race cars that they take out in the rocks and the deserts. So they're not sitting outside. Trust me. I go up to their shop and they might have 5 or 6 of them jammed in there tight. So they don't sit out in the weather, because the weather is really hard on cars. So that's my 2 cents worth this time. Thanks.
Thank you. Was there anyone that wished to speak that did not have a chance to sign up? So just give us your name and address, please.
Thank you. I'm Elizabeth Waite at 3489 Ashby Cove in West Valley City. I wanted to thank you and the council for working on the fine tuning of the code, because when I was listening to the study session today, I appreciate the discussion and the questions and the rehashing and the returning to the specific language to make sure it is clear and to the point. The one thing that I had wondered about is that in that discussion, there are implications of the purpose and the reasons. And I wonder if it would, and I don't know if that is stated someplace, but I think it would be helpful for residents to understand that this is the code, these are what we're looking for, and this is why. This is what our goals, our objectives are, and this is what we're doing to meet those goals and objectives, so that it's clear. Because when I listen to the discussion of the different parts of the codes and revision and fine tuning, like I say, I could hear the implications of the purpose, but I think it might be helpful. And it even showed up in a comment earlier tonight. Another thing that I wanted to request is I spend a little bit of time every week at the Great Salt Lake, and it's such a priority, and it's such a serious situation with real health implications for our town, our neighborhoods. And we have so many kids out here that it's a situation of their health and the health in their future and the health of their future families. And the kids that I talk to, even they're choosing to make a future in this area and in the state. If the lake goes away, we're going to be losing a whole bunch of kids who are now in high school, because that's literally the way that I hear them thinking, that they're staying in this area and in this state is contingent on that lake being preserved. So my thought for West Valley City, since we're right here and since we're such a huge population, and when we're talking about percentage of green plants and plants in yards and things like that, is to prioritize the Great Salt Lake and make a statement about that, about the place that the Great Salt Lake has in the picture of the planning and the yard and the water needs and the water concepts for yards. Because I know, I mean, our history in this state is lavish green lawns, which I heard even a point in the study session tonight. We are a desert state. That never was a realistic concept, except when we have been able to import water from other parts of the state, and it isn't unrealistic now for us to consider what desert state landscaping looks like, and really, so to that, and really emphasize that. So to that point, I've thought it would be really purposeful for West Valley City to make a statement of its prioritization of getting water to the Great Salt Lake, and points about conservation and water diversion, and clarification to the citizens of what the conservation and diversion picture is and what the goals are or might be. But I'm also wondering, just as West Valley City presents awards of beauty in yards that are wonderfully landscaped, one of my neighbors has an all drought resistant and drought considerate landscape. And it's all desert plants. It is incredible. And he's had that yard for over 20 years. But what I was thinking is, along with what the traditional beautiful yards, what if there were recognition of yards that were very, very obviously conscious of water conservation and landscaping with that specifically and obviously in mind. So I had those thoughts, and I thought that I would share them. And thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Was there anyone else that wished to speak? Seeing none, did we have anyone online? Okay, thank you. Ms. Cottle, did you have any comments?
Mayor, as the second string city manager here, normally I would not, but I learned something over the weekend I wanted to just share with the residents here and with the citizens that I think is remarkable. And that is with regards to our animal shelter. And as I think everyone knows, we're a no-kill shelter. But the most remarkable thing is that in the last 6 months, we handled just over 1,800 animals. And of those 1,800 animals, 400, just over 400 of those were returned to their owners, and gratefully returned to their owners. And so I just wanted to take a minute and recognize the folks that work in the shelter. It is a really tough and heartstring rendering job. And they do a great job, and they really care about those animals and about making sure our residents get their animals back and can adopt animals into their families. And so I just wanted to take just a brief moment and celebrate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the council have any words? Okay, so I will tell Ms. Waite that the Clean and Beautiful Committee does do some of their awards for water-wise landscaping. So we're moving that way. So good on that committee. All right. Thank you so much for your comments. We really do listen and appreciate them. So we'll now go to our public hearing, and it is regarding application SA 3/2022. And thank you to our IT staff for providing the maps for you so you can kind of get a reference of what we're talking about. And I'll turn the time to Ms. Cottle.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request for final plat approval at 7055 West Gates Avenue. This is for the Moreno subdivision. As you can see, it amends these these 3 lots into the subdivision, and it will then consist of 1 lot that is 1.3 acres, which is zoned manufacturing. There is a building proposed for this lot that would be an office warehouse type of a use.
Okay, thank you. I will now turn it to the public hearing portion. Did anybody have any questions for Ms. Cottle before we turn it over to the public hearing? Okay, so we'll now open the public hearing regarding this application, SA 3/2022. Is anyone like to speak to it? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and I'll turn our action item, which is ordinance 23-06, to the council for comments or a motion.
I move for approval of ordinance 23-06.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone.
Yes.
Councilman Harmon.
Yes.
Councilman Christensen.
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt.
Yes.
And Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to our resolutions. We'll start with 23-29. Ms. Cottle?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution authorizing the city to enter into an interlocal agreement with the Salt Lake County Clerk's Office, specifically with the Election Division. As you know, we will have municipal elections this year, and we do contract for those services with the county after thorough vetting of those processes and a good understanding of how they secure our elections. We feel really confident in that service and appreciate the opportunity to contract with them for what is a very complicated and important action that we endeavor as a city. The estimated cost is $160,000 approximately, and that is currently budgeted from the election budget.
Okay, thank you. I will now turn it to the council for comments or a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2329.
I'll second that motion and also add that while we're not enacting ranked choice voting, I appreciate that we're willing to do some further research on that, including evaluating the experiences of other municipalities and that, but I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
And Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We now have resolution 23-30. Ms. Cottle?
Mayor, this is a resolution authorizing us to procure the services of High West contractors for a streetlight repairing project. The repair project is on 2400 South between 4800 West and 5370 West, and then on 4800 West between 2400 South and SR 201. We did put this out to bid, and the lowest responsible bidder was High West at about $40,000.
Thank you. All right, I will turn it to the council for discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 23-30.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
and Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to resolution 23-31. Ms. Cottle?
Okay, this is to help repair one of the most well-loved and highly used come summer Centennial Outdoor Pool, which is over in our Centennial Park on the west side of our city. And any of you that have been there in the summer, you know that that is a very popular spot. The boilers are aging and need to be replaced. That was budgeted in our current existing budget. We have a contract for that for $101,320 for replacement of the boilers.
Okay, thank you. I'll now turn it to the council for comments or a motion.
I would move to approve resolution 23-31, considering that the boilers are not only aging, but are ancient.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
And Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We now have resolution 23-32. Ms. Cottle?
Mayor, this is an amendment to a development agreement that the council had already executed with a developer, and the developer approached the city and suggested that he would like to amend the agreement to allow for unfinished basements in exchange for the inclusion of a masonry wall and larger trees. This is located at 3554 South, 3200 West, and is submitted for your consideration.
Hey, thank you. I'll turn it to the council for comments or a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2332.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
And Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We have our consent agenda tonight. It just has one resolution, 23-33, which is a right-of-way purchase and acceptance of a warranty deed and temporary construction easement. So these are pretty routine. So I'll turn it to the council for comments or a motion.
Move to approve the single item on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Kamic?
Councilman Fitzie Umanu,
Aye.
Councilman Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilman Harmon,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
and Mayor Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We do not need a closed session tonight, so we just have one more action item.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you so much for coming out.